It's one of Games Workshop's best games, but after a huge dump of releases in 2022, including this Osgiliath set I reviewed on the channel, the link is above, there was a slump last year in terms of releases for the Middle-earth strategy battle game. There were some combined ruin kits at the start of the year, and some see-through versions of old plastic Army of the Dead models. Not ideal for long-standing SBG fans, but they were all of them deceived. For another kit was made, one which would face the internet's cruelty, malice, and will to dominate all life. The Get Off the Road Diorama.
But is it worth your money? Let's find out.
Something is about to happen that has not happened for an age.
So it's £65, which of course is quite expensive for a box of this size and just for one model, although it's a diorama, so maybe similar to the Death of Gothmog and other ones, it's sort of comparable but still a lot more expensive. It was on made to order initially, so anyone could get their hands on one in the initial batch, but since then it's become a Warhammer World exclusive only. So unless you live in the UK, and particularly in the centre of the UK near Nottingham, then it's going to be pretty hard to get your hands on. And of course, looking at it, not exactly the most special of boxes, it's just the standard Middle-earth strategy battle game box. It's got a boring looking sticker and the price on it, so not particularly exciting. So let's tuck into the box and have a look. So what we've got here, we've got, as we say, plain box, and we'll see, it's kind of exciting, always exciting opening a new toy, isn't it? Bubble wrap, I wasn't expecting that. All right, let's put anything in it. Nope, nothing in the bubble wrap, just bubble wrap. Then a bag. So it's just an empty box. So usually a plastic tray, but no, we've got a plastic bag, and helpfully that looks to be some sort of instruction manual, and of course the cover for that sort of stuff. And this is just, I wasn't expecting this. Oh, there is a box inside the bag. All right, okay. All right, so we've got that. We've got some leaflets. We've got Guide to Building Resin Model Kits, because of course it's resin, four-drilled resin, not fine cast or fail cast as some call it. We've got a base, there we go, that's not bad. So that's all the contents of the bag, and bin that off. What have we got? Let's have a look at some of the detail then. So we've got really big hefty chunks of plastic here. So I don't know what that is. Oh, I see, yeah, so that goes on there. So that's presumably for him himself, the old Ringwraith there. That's nice. What we're looking at here, we've got some clean-up work to do, I assume. That doesn't, is that? I don't know if that's meant to be like that. But let's survey the details. So that's the plants. Those plants look quite good, don't they? Yeah, I'm not displeased with the detail on there. There doesn't seem to be a lot of. I'm trying to see if I can find any mould lines, but this sort of, what's this? That looks like a mould line, or something's gone wrong there. Is it the end of a leaf or something like that that's broken? So something not ideal there. That's not ideal. Just, gosh, I mean, there's almost more plastic on these bloody bits than the actual thing. But there you go. There's the stuff. Now the good stuff there. What we're really after here. So there we go. We've got like a nice to see the return of fluffy bits. Right, so here's all my gubbins. So we've got part of the Ringwraith itself. So that, I mean, that's looking pretty good to me. Very nice. Some mould lines on the back of the legs. Ooh, quite a few gates here. It's going to be tricky to differentiate what from what, but that's fine. Right, there's the next bit. Same here. I love the detail. There's this sort of mottled cloak, there's damage, and the detail on the hand is very good. Yeah, not bad at all. Again, more gates though. Not the easiest things to clean up, these things. I always feel like they're going to break some of the fray of the cloak potentially. But what else we got? So we've got a base. Oh, that's pretty cool. Like that. Does that go on? Oh yeah, I was going to say that. So that's like a topper, like a resin topper for another base, which is cool. And the detail is pretty nice. You've got the hooves, so we know exactly where to glue it to, which is very handy. So we've got the hooves, we've got the hoof holes, so it's not really complicated to do that. Lovely. We'll save that for last. What's this? I have no idea. Just a bit of tree. I don't know where. Oh, I see. So that's got a little line on it. So that. That is this bit here. So it'll go onto there. So that's the bit that the hobbits hide under. Very nice. Again, lovely detail on the plants. Bit of mould line there. Bit of flash to clear, but nothing major. And of course there's the gates there. And then finally, oh no, there's not finally, there's quite a few little bits here. Let's try these. Oh, so these are all the additional bits of the Ringwraith. So what we got, oh yeah, oh right, okay. So we've got, oh god, this is gonna be a nightmare to clean up. So we've got a bridle, is that, I think that's meant to be hollow, isn't it? So that's gonna be annoying. And then we've got all these little bits. There's a lot of detail on this horse. I don't know how easy it's going to be to clean them up, but we'll see. And then of course the head, which has come in for some criticism for looking a bit sort of oddly shaped. I'm not totally against it. It looks alright, but I see what people are saying. It doesn't look quite the same as the one in the movie. And there's that bit there, which I assume is the front. Yeah, so there's a head, yeah. So that goes onto there somewhere. Like so. Not bad, not bad. And then of course, them hobbits. And they do look good, don't they? Are they in scale? Yeah. And oh, I like that Frodo he's very close to putting the ring on. Is there actually a ring there? I don't know. Doesn't look like he's actually holding a ring, it just looks like two fingers pointing at each other. Okay, well there's that. These two guys, and of course Merry holding the cabbage, which is great. Oh, the detail on the back is lovely. Pity that's never going to get seen. Right, there we go. Let's give it a go building it, see if it's as easy to turn into the miniature as we'd like. So, I've actually got some new clippers for this task, because, well, I might as well use some old ones first to chop through these massive gates. So, let's see if it's easy to come off. Oh, that's quite easy. It's quite brittle, this sort of resin, I think.
So I got to work cleaning up that first piece of the puzzle.
I mean, that's immediately very nice snug fit. All these little bits of flash.
Once the model was removed off its massive gates, the long preparation began. And it is a long preparation. I mean, there's a lot of miniature here to clean up. I wouldn't say it was a terribly made miniature, it's just there's lots of joins, there's lots of bits, there's lots of stuff that you need to clean off to make sure the joins fit well. And you've got to be really careful, of course, because, you know, this is an expensive model, you don't want to get anything wrong, and actually just making the pieces fit together requires that little bit of cleanup, and it's a nice model, it's a display piece, so you want it to look really good. But to put it in context, this piece of footage that you're watching here has been sped up 35 times the speed it would normally go at, so it does take quite some time just to assemble the miniature, but of course you want to get it right, and at least I suppose you're getting some value out of it if you're spending this much time assembling it.
So it looks pretty good now it's been assembled. There are some mould lines which I'm kind of surprised by, some gaps, in the way it's designed. There were a few mould lines, obviously you saw me clearing that up. It took me about an hour to assemble it, so plenty of time has gone into this, but it does look cool. I need to fill in a bit more, so that I guess it'll be over an hour by the time I've done the little green stuff gaps, and obviously the removable bits are pretty cool. So generally happy with it, but the level of detail is pretty intimidating, so I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about having to paint this, but let's get some sprays out and give it a good old paint.
With such a big and complex model to paint, you've got to make some early decisions about what colours to divide things into, to make sure you don't waste certain colours. So I started on the soils and the bark on the tree, and conversely I didn't paint the trunk of the tree in dryad bark, I painted the soil in the dryad bark. It's got a slightly darker, dustier tone, and then eventually got on to paint the bulk of the tree in Rhinox hide, which is a bit of a warmer tone, but I'm going to wash everything down to take away the brightness in a few minutes' time. Continuing the work on the base, I picked out all the little green ferns in Caliban green. Although the scene is obviously a dark and dingy looking scene, I do want to give this model a bit of brightness. So even though the mushrooms are white in the movie, I decided to paint them in good old-fashioned red and white. Obviously there are lots of layers and parts to this model, so while I was painting the bulk of the diorama base, I was also painting the hobbits on their little separate piece in the similar colour scheme. I doused the tree trunk in a black wash, which I think reflects the darkness of the tree in the movie, and then I doused all the mud and the soil in an Agrax earthshade. Once the tree trunks had dried, I started a mega highlighting session using Rhinox hide and building up to Mornfang brown to give it a little bit of brightness. Really, this sort of model lends itself to dry brushing, and if I hadn't already put the green and the red layers on the mushrooms and the ferns, then probably would have done that. But maybe with something as detailed as this, the highlighting just makes it pop that little bit more. Next, some delicate highlighting of the mushrooms using Evil Sun's Scarlet, and then I just followed that up with the traditional little white dots for this kind of toadstool. Again, even though this isn't the kind of mushroom that Merry and Pippin really want to be eating. The ferns got a little dry brush with a very, very fine detail brush with Narlock Green, which actually is Lauren Forest or thereabouts these days. With the base pretty much done, it's time to focus on the Ringwraith, the real star of the show. Although the Nazgul are nicknamed the Black Riders, the horses they ride aren't actually black, as you can see here, so I base coated my horse in a dark brown of dryad bark and then got to work on the metallics on the model. Using lead belcher, I painted every single nook and cranny of the model, lots of little buckles and armour poking out of the creases. I really didn't want to overcomplicate the cloak, so I just gave it a very quick dry brush with Storm Vermin Fur, a dark sort of muted blue-grey, and then washed it back with some black wash and kind of left it there. I think there was some neatening up after that, but otherwise it's pretty much done. Now I won't take you through every single step of the next process because the hobbits, I mean, we're painting 4 miniatures here at once, but suffice to say there's an awful lot of detail here. There's the backpacks and the pans and hanging off Sam's rucksacks, all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of detail here to paint, but just putting the skin tone on here and putting it as part of the display immediately transforms it into a wonderful diorama, and then add the fully painted models in there as well, and it looks basically finished.
So, is this worth the money you're paying for it? £65 for a diorama which is, granted, a beautiful miniature. The sculpture is great, includes the 4 hobbits and the detachable thing as we've seen, and of course the playable Ringwraith at the back. So if I pull that little segment out, we do have a playable Ringwraith, and it's a really evocative Ringwraith miniature. Is it worth the £65? I mean, let's break it down for you, because I think a Ringwraith itself is worth, I don't know, getting on for 20 quid surely in a decent miniature like this. So 20 quid. So you're definitely getting your value for money if you really want a fancy Ringwraith. And the display base, the diorama, the general kind of look of it, I think it is really nice. I mean, if you compare this to something like a Weta collectible, it's actually not far off, but of course your painting standard, if it's anything like mine, won't be quite up to Weta display standards. But it is lovely. It is beautiful to put on a shelf alongside your finest miniatures, and it really does feel like it's well worthy of displaying. But this isn't a display piece, it's a £65 miniature involved in a diorama. So, I mean, I have to say that I don't think this is necessarily worth it if you're the kind of guy like me who really likes to build and paint models in order to help get an army ready, to get something on the table. Because for starters, the motivation to paint something like this is difficult. It's taken me a long time to paint and assemble and all that sort of stuff. And without there being a kind of gaming point at the end of it, it feels like it might be difficult for some people to get it out of their backlog. So I can understand why some people would definitely not think it's worth the £65. I have to say, I'm glad I bought it, but it wasn't worth £65. I would consider 40 quid, 45 maybe, would be an absolute bargain for this sort of thing. And you know, that's being generous because it is still only one miniature after all. So there you go. That is the Get Off the Road diorama. I hope you enjoyed this sort of hobby-style video. It's been a while since I've done a hobby-style video on the channel. I've got a few bat reps planned for the next few months, but there'll be nothing very, very soon, unfortunately. If you listen to Entmoot, the podcast, link down below, you'll know that I have recently had a baby, so it's not going to be very busy. Well, it is going to be very busy for me, but it's not going to be very busy here on the YouTube channel or on the old podcast for a while. But I do have some things planned, and I'm also doing some more regular live streams, not just for everyone here on YouTube as regard whenever a new thing is announced by Games Workshop for MESBG, but also for patron supporters. I'm doing a regular patron live chat where we do games, we do giveaways and all that sort of stuff, and break down lists and do some hobby updates and all that sort of stuff. So if you're interested in getting involved in any of that sort of stuff, do hit up the Patreon down below. You get free stuff when you sign up anyway, and it supports the podcast and the YouTube channel. So thank you very much for watching. We will be back soon, but in the meantime, cheerio and thanks for watching. Boo-a-rum.